Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Now it has come to that time of the year. All of a sudden I'm having to think about real life and becoming an adult. So obviously I'm thinking about things like graduating, thinking about, getting my graduate job, and thinking about property and thinking about moving out one day, which has always been a dream of mine. But I'd probably say that moving out has also been one of my biggest worries in terms of finding the money and getting the money together to actually, own my own property and have somewhere to live that I can call my own. It's been a dream, but it's also been something that I've been worried about because prices in London are ridiculous. Like literally I would say it's a shambles right now, and it makes people like myself who don't come from, massively wealthy backgrounds, it basically puts us at a huge disadvantage. So it's definitely something that I've worried about for a very long time. But good news is that I have partnered up with L&Q to share some knowledge with you and also some advice in order to make that dream a reality, both for you and for me. So one of the things that we often worry about, including myself, is finding the money basically to put a deposit down, because that's the most important thing. Finding that money, that probably huge lump sum to put down as a deposit. But one thing that we don't actually think about is shared ownership. With shared ownership, you need a much smaller deposit than you would on the open market. A minimum of 5% of the share purchase. So what that basically means is that you will take a much smaller deposit to take a small piece of that property, and over time you can buy more shares of that property till one day, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's yours. So if you take that and combine it with some useful saving tips and tricks, all of a sudden finding the money for a deposit doesn't seem like that huge distant dream that we once spoke about. So here are a few tips and tricks to try and help you basically to save up your money. Now I have not always been the best saver, believe me. Money was always a thing that came into my account, then I saw something that I liked and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna buy that, or ooh, I'm gonna go and buy that. Honestly, I used to be so poor with money, but over time I've just learned how to control myself and also just find ways to make ends meet. So I'm hoping that this advice will help you and essentially help you to put some money away. So tip number 1, channel your inner chef. Yes, instead of taking that cheeky meal over here, that trip to the deli over there, become a chef in your own home. So if you have leftovers from the day before where you cooked, whether it be a stir fry or a pasta, or it could be a jollof rice and a chicken or whatever, pack it in a container and take it with you to work, to school, to wherever, just to save some extra coins on the side. Let me give you guys a little fact, okay? Fact: the average Brit spends over £4,000 a year dining out. That's a quarter of the average national wage. A quarter of it just being thrown away on food. It's crazy. So tip number 2, let's take it old school. Now one thing that I'll admit once again is that when payday comes and that lump sum of money drops into my account, just into my account, I look at it and I'm like, oh, this is so much money, Lord, thank you. And then the first thing I'm doing is, oh, so yeah, what are you doing today? Do you want to go out and eat? Oh, so what are you doing next week? Do you want to go out for drinks? Do you want to do this, go and do that? Instead of us splashing our money on going out for drinks or whatever crazy night out, let's save it and let's take it old school. Why not invest in some retro games, whether it be board games or whatever it is, calling your girls up and saying, hey, let's have a girls' night in instead. Not only do you save money, it's also a chance for you guys to actually sit down and bond. Because one thing that I realize as well is that we're in such a time where, we will go out and we'll go and have drinks or whatever. Then a lot of the time we're on our phones anyway, and we're not really communicating, we're not really enjoying each other's presence. So instead of doing any of that, just save some money, have a night in and play some board games. Easy. So tip number 3, saving electricity. Now I've got another fact for you guys, okay? Listen to this. Did you know that turning off appliances rather than leaving them idle on standby could save you up to £80 per year? Now I know that sounds like a tiny amount of money, you're like £80 in a year, what on earth is that? But trust me, as that builds up, that could be going towards your deposit. Honestly, just going around your house, making sure that all your lights are switched off, your plugs, your socket plugs, or plugs, are they plug sockets or socket plugs? Whatever they're called, are switched off. Making sure that all electricity is switched off can help you save so much money. And if you feel like that's way too easy, then fine, push yourself, challenge yourself. How about having a candlelit dinner, switching off all of your appliances, yes, including these things that we seem so very attached to, just switching everything off and just having a day where you're not wasting that much electricity. Try it maybe once a year, once a month, whatever it is, and you will save just that little bit more. Tip number 4, think like your nan, or if your mum is anything like my mum, think like your mum. My mum is super frugal, and she's always thinking about ways to save money, as am I. Literally, instead of throwing away clothes that might have like a rip or a hole in them, how about stitching it up? I do exactly the same thing. Anyone that knows me knows that Nissy not only loves a bargain, which is another thing as well, shop at charity shops or shop during sales, etc. Those are the best times where you find the best things as well, believe me. But not only looking for bargains, but also making sure that when something tears, if it's still wearable, just stitch it up and you can wear it again. There's nothing wrong with doing that instead of chucking it away and having to spend so much money on things that you didn't really actually need. And another thing you can do is make sure that your cupboards and your fridge is empty before you go and do that huge shop. Honestly, sometimes when it comes to shopping, we just go out there and we buy things that we don't actually need, or we go and buy the exact same thing that we already have. Don't do it to yourself. Save some money by finishing everything that's in the fridge and in the cupboard, and then going to do your shopping. Now for the 5th and final tip, it is couch surfing. Now, it's not the kind of couch surfing that you're probably thinking about, whichever that is, but it is you crashing on people's couches when you're traveling. Now, if you're someone like me who loves traveling, I love discovering new places, going on new adventures, the only thing about traveling is that it can be quite expensive. So you're thinking about, you know, your flights or however you're going to get there, then you have to think about accommodation and food, etc. If you are crashing on someone's couch, preferably someone that you know, if you're crashing on their couch, it will cut costs dramatically. So you'll save money on, you know, accommodation fees, etc. And who knows, that person might even double up as a tour guide and show you around that city as well. Now, couch surfing is not for everyone. Some people understand like their own space, they don't want to intrude on other people, etc, etc, and that is absolutely fine. But if you're really up for saving some money, just crashing on people's couches could be the best way. And there's actually a website that you can go onto. It's www.couchsurfing.com, or you can just download the Couchsurfing travel app and you can literally connect yourself with over 9 million people across 120,000 different cities to find that couch. Now, of course, again, this is not for everybody and there are kind of crazy people out there, so please be very careful. Make sure you don't end up in the home of a psycho, but try it. If you're up for saving some money and you want to make it happen, try it and see what happens. So those were my top 5 tips on how to save some extra cash. I really do hope that you enjoyed this video and I hope that those tips were useful for you. If you do try any of them, make sure you leave comments in the comment section below and we'll share some tips and some more ideas as well. And thank you again to L&Q who I teamed up with. And if you do want to check out some more stuff about shared ownership and the things I'd mentioned earlier in the video, then I'll leave the L&Q website in the description box below. Make sure you go on there and have a look. One thing that I will say is that shared ownership, things to do with property or anything like that, is a very personal decision, so it's not something that will suit everybody, and that's absolutely fine. But one thing that I definitely say is at least take a look and see if it might work for you, because you never know, it might just help you to get that dream property. So yeah, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Stay beautiful.